Wait.
Oh, we gone?
Raven, pretend like this phone has a brain.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday. It's 3 o'clock, and we're here at the LSI Labs at the Hotshot Secret headquarters, and we want to wish you a Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas. We hope everybody had a great season. We've been out for a few weeks because of the holidays, and it's been busy for everybody, so hopefully you didn't miss us too much. We want to take a minute to thank our fans, our customers, our supporters, independent dealers, and our retailers. 2018 was a banner year, and we really appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. We want to make 2019 be even better. Today we're going to have our live Facebook update. I always get stuck with this part, but and we want to encourage you to call in. Oh, I'm jumping on your part. We want to encourage you to call in. What makes this program good is your questions. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to hear me and Eric talk for 30 minutes. So if you have questions about anything that has to do with lubricants or additives, we'll either answer it or we'll tell you we don't know the answer, and we'll try to get you the answer next week. But this is what we do here. We're always testing equipment. We're testing different formulas, new additives. So there's a huge knowledge base here, and it's really your best chance to speak to a lubrication engineer or a CLS, certified lubrication specialist. You know, you can call in about a question about oil for your lawnmower or your Harley Davidson or your tractor. That's what we're here to do. And in the meantime, we kind of fill in the time talking about some of the things that are going on here in the company, or products that we're working on, or some events that we're hosting.
And I just want to mention, this whole Facebook Live thing for us was fairly new last year. It kind of sprung up. Basically, customers encouraged us to do it. They wanted easy way to get a hold of us, asking us questions, get information on product, just kind of get a view on what we do at Hotshot. So that's how the whole Facebook Live thing started. 2018, we ups and downs, learned a lot, and believe it or not, we made it through 22 episodes. I'll call it an episode in 2018.
And 22nd episode was way better than the first one.
Right.
At least we were a lot less nervous.
Yeah, at least we hope so. So anyways, going forward with Facebook Live, a couple things that we want to try and do every single week is obviously tell you about products that we got going on, tell you about industry news, anything that's new and current. We want to talk to you about FAQs. Every week we get on our online chat the questions that come in asking us about products. Maybe it's not even related to Hot Shots, but we're a resource here to help you. So every week we want to try and touch on a different subject and kind of go through a couple different things every week.
So if you have a question, post it, and we'll try to get to it as quickly as we can. We don't have TV screens here, but we have Kyle and Levi in the background giving us the inside scoop.
They should be working, but instead they're hanging out.
Yeah, they sit back there and make faces at us, see if they can mess us up.
Yeah.
We also run a web special, and we want to tell you about that. This week, every order over $99 gets a free bottle, 8-ounce bottle of FR3. That's our friction reducer, our product that we have 3 patented products in. It reduces the friction, it increases your horsepower, and increases your fuel economy. Now, I know a lot of products on the market say the same thing, but we back ours up with a lot of testing. Mm-hmm. And we've tested literally hundreds of different formulas and hundreds of different chemicals from all over the world. And we run them through a series of tests till we found the perfect combination. And so far, we've been able to get about a 5% bump in horsepower and a 5% bump in fuel economy, extremely consistent. And I don't have the exact numbers. Actually, I don't even know if we ever calculated the numbers, but I would have to say off the top of my head, it's about 95% of the time. So out of thousands of tests that we've run, almost 95 out of 100 have come back and said, my fuel economy went from here to here, my horsepower went from here to here. We've done dyno after dyno after dyno on everything from a lawnmower to a racing truck, and it's been very, very consistent. So we're real comfortable with the technology. We feel it's a huge value for you, the consumer, so we really encourage you to try it.
So if you're going online buying something, get a free bottle, try it out.
Yeah, buy any. If you're, it's time for maintenance, you should be using the Stiction Eliminator, the Diesel Extreme, just to get your system up to speed. But don't forget, you can also subscribe to our email newsletter, and we send you exclusive deals. And anybody that orders over $99 is going to get a free 8-ounce bottle of FR3, which will treat a passenger car.
Yep.
Most passenger cars and passenger trucks. It could be used in gas or diesel. It goes into the engine oil, and it reduces the friction, it increases the film strength, and it reduces the wear by about 50%. So it's a really good value proposition.
Yep. And just some updates of what we have going on. If you saw a post last week, we said goodbye to a longtime employee of Hot Shot Secret, Brenda Lesko. She's probably, I don't know if she's made her way to Florida or not, but Brenda, if you're watching, we're going to miss you and wish you best of luck.
We already miss you.
Yeah.
And TJ, Big
TJ.
Country. You can't forget, Big Country is working for a diesel mechanic here in our county. And he learned so much working here that he's become a great asset. And we're going to miss TJ. He is helping us out with some of our tech questions on the weekends and the evenings. So you may get an email from him if you ask a question and we're not here. But we miss TJ already also.
And believe it or not, the year just started, but already getting into event season. We got trade shows coming up. First one is next week in Texas. O'Reilly Auto Parts. They hold a little get together for vendors, so we'll be there, which little plug. If you guys are out and about, need products, you can find us in O'Reilly's, of course, Meyer, Tractor Supply, AutoZone,
Napa, and Walmart is carrying the Stiction Eliminator, so in the 32-ounce bottle. So it is at Walmart and Menards. If you're local and you go to Menards, they have our Diesel Extreme and our Stiction Eliminator, and it's been selling well there. So tell your friends about it. That's how we have grown this company, and that's our biggest asset is you folks. And we still have over 50% of our business comes in through word of mouth. I think it's 50%.
Yeah.
It's the largest piece of the pie. So it's we do try to get our message out and tell the story and advertise on TV, radio, print, but really it's the consumers that are getting us where we're going.
Yep. Also want to shout out, we have obviously hundreds of independent dealers across the country. Got a couple we want to shout out today. First up, in Montezuma, Georgia, Pokey's Performance and Repair. We got T&K Performance in Great Falls, Montana. Glenn's Auto and Truck Repair in Petaluma, California. And Randy's Off-Road, which has been with us a long time. They're out of Marysville, Washington. So these guys are experts in the diesel industry, so if you're in the area, you got questions, concerns, go see these guys.
And our dealers are really the root of what we're doing here. We started off as a web-only business, and then we started picking up dealers, and now we sell retailers. We're one of the only companies that I know of that sell all three channels, and the reason that we do that and maintain that is at the retail shelf, they're really about bringing product in and moving it off the shelf. There are lots of products that we make that don't make the retail bill. They don't move 2 bottles a month or 3, whatever they need. We'll never get there. But our dealers, they have the ability to buy everything. And there are products that you'll never see on a retail shelf that will be at a dealer. On top of that, we expect dealers to know and understand the product. They've probably used it. They're able to explain to you why it works, not just dump this in, but this is what you can expect and this is why you can expect it. So they are our experts, and that's why we've invested so heavily in the dealer area. Yep. The web, we still keep that going because that's our point of contact to the end user. That's how we get all of our information out. And then a lot of times, myself included, they're reading about something, you just want to try it. So you just want to hit buy, you want to buy a bottle. So it's really reaching out to all the people and all the ways that they buy their product, and that's how we built the company to where we're at today.
All right, you got a lot of comments. You want to field some right away?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Mike Daly has a Duramax. He asks, how often do you use in the motor and transmission?
The Stiction Eliminator, Mike, I would put Stiction Eliminator in there once a year. It's just a good practice because you're cleaning out anything that's built up. The more efficient the engine gets, the more carbon it builds up because you're literally shearing the oil and you're leaving deposits behind. So if you think about carbon and hydrogen, that's what most oil is made out of, carbon and hydrogen. When you shear that bond, the hydrogen's going to go away as a gas because hydrogen's a gas, and the carbon deposits left behind in your engine. The trick is cleaning that safely, and that's where a lot of other companies don't do as well. They might use solvents or something that's going to be harsh on the inside of the engine. Where the Stiction Eliminator is 100% oils and additives, so we're able to go in there and clean it and lubricate it, reduce the wear. Actually, the Stiction Eliminator reduces it by 62%, increase your horsepower, so you're really upgrading everything the whole way across. what was the other part of the transmission?
Transmission.
Okay, we have a product called Transmission Stiction Eliminator, and we developed that for transmissions because the same thing happens inside of a transmission on a micro scale. So if you can imagine in an engine it being an inch, inside the transmission it would probably be 1,000th of an inch. But the difference is in the transmission the tolerances are so much tighter that any little hiccup there causes a slow shift, a hard shift, or maybe it won't shift at all. So what the TSE, the Transmission Stiction Eliminator, does, it goes in there and lubricates and cleans out the inside of the transmission and makes it shift better and gives you a little bit better performance. Even on a new transmission, we were able to get about a 1% increase in horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot. It's not nearly as sexy, but the biggest thing is it cleans it up and keeps it clean.
Got a good one for you.
Okay?
Justin Bowles. He says, your product needs to be less than $50 a bottle. If you reduce price, you'd sell more, I believe. A lot of competitive brands out there.
You know, we sold online for several years before we even reached the retail shelf. And the reason was every retailer out there told me that you can't sell a product on the shelf for $50. The problem is we don't use fillers, where most companies are really profit centered. We're problem specific. We don't worry so much about the money as much as we do trying to come up with a really good solution to the problem. So if I'm a ABC company and I want to put a product on the shelf at $10, then I try to see how I could put maybe $1 or $2 worth of additive in there. Then I might fill it up with a base oil or a solvent or something as a carrier. And the goal is just to get it as cheap as possible. What we did is we looked at it, okay, what do you need to fix this problem? Well, unfortunately, you needed 64 ounces. This was the forward power stroke, where we started, which most people know that story, so I don't need to go back into that. But the problem was we needed 64 ounces of product to fix the problem. There was no way to make it any less expensive. There is a lot of additives in there. Our cost of goods is probably double what the industry standard is, just because we do so much more. There's no way for me to verify that because I don't know what everybody else's cost of goods are. But in general, when I met with all the people at like O'Reilly's and Tractor Supply, they said we can't sell this, it's too expensive. Well, as time went on and people kept buying it online, you know, the third year into it, they finally said, okay, we're going to put it on the shelf. It started selling immediately because we were giving the consumer something that really worked. So I had, you know, a truck that the injectors weren't working. Now all of a sudden they're working. Well, I saved $3,000. Was that worth $50? Well, absolutely. Now, to your point, as a maintenance product, if you're just saying, you know, can you improve the performance for less than $50, that's the FR3. You can put the FR3 in there at $19 or something like that and get the boost that you need. It's going to improve your performance. It's going to help keep the engine clean, but if there's a lot of deposits built up in there, it's not going to clean those up. That's what the Stiction Eliminator is needed for. That's why we had that two-part process. Clean out first, and really it should only be used once or twice a year, depending on how much you drive, and then the follow-up is the FR3, because you're keeping that oil as a premium at that point.
And
hopefully that answers your question.
Well, Justin, talking about price, really it's a philosophy thing. A lot of companies out there say, okay, we have this much money to make a product. What can we get in there for that cost? Ours is backwards. We want to make the best product that's going to do X, Y, and Z. We work on that first, and then we try to figure out price.
Absolutely. And I have had big box stores ask me if I could take, you know, like a 16-ounce bottle, put it into a gallon jug, and then fill it with filler so that they could get a higher price for it. And I said, no, we don't do that. I mean, we just don't. We won't. You know, we've built everything on being transparent, telling you what's in it, telling you how it works. And the truth is, that's just what it takes. If I could do it for $10, I would do it. I'd be glad. I mean, that would make me even happier, but unfortunately, it doesn't work.
We'd rather have a better product than a cheap price.
But we never want to chase after the commodity cheap things, because there's enough products out there doing that. You know, there's plenty of choices on the shelf if you just want a cheap product that may or may not work. We went after a specific area, like a problem with an engine, or to increase the efficiency, or, you know, we seen that this was an underserved area in the market. We built a product and then we charged whatever the cost was. That way you could be assured that if you bought it, it did what we said. And if it doesn't do what we say, we'll give you your money back. And when I say we give your money back, it's a no hassle guarantee. Just call up and say, you know what, I tried it, it didn't do what I thought. What's your name, address? Take a picture of the receipt and text it to me, and we'll send you a check. We don't we really don't want your money if you're not satisfied. We want you to have the product that's going to fix your problem, make your truck work better, make your tractor work better, make your car run better. If it didn't do that, I would much rather part friends than have your $10 or your $20 or your $50.
And Justin, if you're still watching, comment back. Let us know if you've ever tried Stiction before or not. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if you've tried it and did it work.
Yeah, in response to Justin, Chad Myers says quality isn't cheap, and that's the
Right.
truth. And he also said he uses all the products. Chad Myers is a guy we know. Actually, he's got a YouTube channel. He does a lot of testing with. It's Chad Myers 73, I think. So check him out there. And
Chad, you got a banner coming to you too, by the way.
And when you're talking about, Chad, when you're talking about quality, I cannot oversell the quality of our products. We are buying the most expensive products that you could possibly buy. I am not exaggerating. I mean, we're shipping products in from all over the globe that have been proven to be the best of the best. And we're the only company that went to the process of testing all of those. I mean, we literally tested products from Japan, products from China, products from Israel, products from South Korea, and scaled them all up against each other to say, okay, which ones are best? What's the second tier? What's the third tier? So we're sure that we've got the best product in there. If somebody ever says to me, I've got a better product, we'll test it, and if it's better, we'll change the formula and make it better. We don't stop.
Got quite a bit more to run through here. So another interesting one here from Zach Savage. I'm going to read you two. Zach Savage says, would be nice if you sold as a package, for example, a Volkswagen TDI package or a Toyota Tundra package. And also, to follow up with that, Andrew Barnes, I believe he's with the BMW group, right? Andrew Barnes says, I agree with Zach. Vehicle-specific packages, BMW diesel package, a 16-ounce diesel extreme, 16-ounce FR3, 16-ounce EDT, done. So he loves our products.
That's a really good idea, and we've talked about doing that. It's really hard to execute, but we're working on it, and that's one of the things. We have a new e-commerce person that's been here for about 6 months now, Carmen, which when she's here at the end of this month, we'll have to get her on camera so everybody could talk to her also. But that was one of the things that we think we could really up our game by putting together packages for vehicles and offering them online so that you could just buy the whole kit. Like, here's a year's kit, here's your cleanup kit, here's your oil, your additive. We're finding that a lot of our oils have a unique place in the market, which I knew they were unique because we built them, but I didn't realize how unique until people started telling me that I can't buy this kind of oil anywhere. Like, I need an oil for my Volkswagen and there's no place to buy it. Do you have this? I said, sure, we have that. We could, we have a 10W or a 5W30 full PAO synthetic for diesel. We can do that. So we are coming out with that hopefully soon.
All right, Missy Masuccio says, I love this product. Thanks, Missy. Same with John Cover. Love the products. They work, he says. Don Swinner asks, any plans to make DEF fluid?
Yeah, no.
That's all mine.
No. Well, the problem is that DEF fluid is so far there's no way to improve it. It's a commodity item. It's like buying ammonia. There's just, what do you do to ammonia to make it better? Now, if we could find a way to make a DEF fluid that was twice as good as everything else, then we would do it in a heartbeat. But so far, we've spent hours, I won't say hundreds of hours, but it's probably 40 hours. Our research and development team has looked into it. Can we improve this to make it better for the truck driver? And the answer has been no so far. So as soon as we figure it out, we will do something like that.
All right, got another question for you here from Dan Miller. He says, do I want to go for 3,000 or 5,000 miles with initial clean out on a 7.3 Power Stroke? He normally changes his oil every 3,000.
Either one would be fine. I'd go 5,000 just because the longer it's in there, the better it cleans. And on a 7.3, 5,000 is fine. You should do well with it. But if you feel more comfortable with 3,000, that's fine too.
All right, up next, Corey Eisenberger says he used Hot Shots in his 7.3 Power Stroke and it did wonders for the injectors at 300,000 miles. He lost the truck in Hurricane Harvey, so he currently has a 6.7 Power Stroke. Asking, how can I help the injectors since the fuel system is different than the 7.3?
Right.
No longer got the Huey injectors.
It's got the piezo electric injectors.
Right.
Yeah.
off the top of my head, I would think that still running the Stiction Eliminator through once, maybe once every 2 years or every year on something like that. Where on a Huey injector, you really need it every 6 months because it just is so rough on it. The piston inside those injectors is so small and the oil turnover is so slow that it just burns up the oil. Now, yours is basically an electric injector, so on the electric side, we're not going to affect any change. But on the other side of it, it will keep everything clean. And the deposits on the turbo, the deposits on the inside of the engine, it keeps them at bay so that you have a perfectly running brand new engine. If you were to take even that engine, the 6.7, at 100,000 miles and scope the whole inside, you would see varnish and little black carbon dots where it's starting to build up. 2,000 miles later, after you had Stiction Eliminator in there, it should look like a brand new engine. I mean, like a brand new engine with nothing inside, just clean. Your metal count should go down. You should have less iron because we've reduced the wear. The engine should run a little bit better, smoother, and you should probably get more horsepower and more everyday diesel treatment. What we're doing is chemically altering the fuel so that it burns cleaner and more efficiently. That's why you get the significant boost in miles per gallon. You should see on any engine a 4 to 5% increase in fuel economy by using EDT, which more than pays for the product. It probably pays for the product 3 times over. But on top of that, there are detergents, lubricity additives in there, rust and corrosion inhibitors. So it's going to keep the inside of your system clean, but it's still good to get a once a year clean out using the Diesel Extreme. Any other questions, Kyle?
Yep, we got one from Don Swinner. He says, Nissan Titan Cummins, recommended oil change is 10,000 miles. Do you recommend shorter changes with your oil?
If you used our
Say
oil,
the
I'd go,
opposite.
yeah, I go longer. If you can go 10,000 on like a Shell Rotella, then you should be able to go 20 or 30,000 with ours, just because it doesn't shear, it doesn't break down. If you put a filter on there, you could probably go 200,000, but you could safely go 20 or 30,000 miles using oil analysis. What I would recommend anybody that owns a piece of equipment that they are protective of, do an oil analysis as often as you can afford to do it. They're $15.
Yeah. Yep.
They're like $15, and what they tell us is how much iron is in there, if there's any copper coming off of your oil cooler, if the silicon is starting to build up like through the air breather. It lets us know the detergents, how that's working out, and the viscosity of the oil. So in essence, what we can do by putting the oil test in there is say, okay, here's what your oil looks like at 10,000 miles. Now that's our baseline. Now let's go 20,000. If we're still below the baseline, we're still good. Go 25 or 30. You could pretty factually tell exactly what the break even or where we've met your baseline without risking anything. So my answer would be run it longer with our oil, do an oil analysis, and after the first time you'll know how long you could leave it in there.
And before we go to the next question, oil analysis is pretty simple. You get a kit in the mail, take a sample of the oil, send it out within a week, 2 weeks, you're going to have your results back. So it's not a real time-consuming process.
See, when he said oil analysis is pretty simple, I started thinking about how it's done. I was going to say they take a laser. I was going right into the smoke and all that.
Yeah, that's not simple. But
the bottle that we'll send you will be pre-addressed to go to the lab. And when they send it, they'll send you a copy of the oil analysis via email. They'll send us a copy, and then I go through them, and we have our chemical engineer Kevin and Aaron, his assistant. We all go through these, and we just look for anything that's might be a problem. So you really have, 2 or 3 sets of eyes looking at what's going on in your engine. If we see anything that doesn't look right, one of us or all of us will call you. Sometimes the lab will call you and we'll call you. For instance, we got an oil analysis not that long ago that had a lot of fuel dilution, and it was 2-3%, which is really high. So we immediately called the customer and said, there's something going on in here, you need to take a look at it. And then we walked them through the process of how to fix that. We had one that had a lot of antifreeze in it, and they had a blown head gasket. So we were able to call that customer and say, hey, there's antifreeze in your oil, there's something wrong, I wouldn't drive it until you can get that taken care of, because you risk blowing the engine. One of the things you got to understand, as a little side note, because I can't stop myself, antifreeze, the additive package in antifreeze works the opposite of engine oils. So the rust and oxidation inhibitors in antifreeze fight the rust and oxidation inhibitors in engine oils, and they fight for the metal surface. So it doesn't take very much antifreeze in your oil before you start to ruin the bearings inside, because you're not getting the protection that's normally there. So those little things help a lot.
In an update to a previous comment about having vehicle-specific bundles, apparently we do. We have a Bimmer bundle that Andrew Barnes pointed out on the website, so I believe, I guess, kept that hidden from us, but it's now linked below. So
very good. We have a BMW oil package.
And Andrew says he's going to have, thanking us for being supportive of our community, and he's going to have another very fast 335D running our products very soon. So
all right.
We'll stay tuned for that. Next comment here is from our friend Steve Schwanger.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Steve? He says, we currently have Stiction Eliminator running in 11 Class 8 diesel trucks. Because they idle so much, we really cannot say that there's a measurable MPG increase, but I can attest to a 5% plus increase in oil pressure and easier cold engine starts. Would highly recommend using. He says he also should have added that we were previously using a competitor's product at a 20% blend, and it did not have the same results.
Yeah, that goes back to the value proposition, not using fillers, putting 100% ingredients into our bottles. So that's right. And if you're idling a lot, it's really important to run Diesel Extreme more often. So Diesel Extreme and EDT idling is really rough in terms of building up soot inside the engine, so you really want to try to clean that out. City of Columbus, we did a test with them. They had the trucks that sit by the side of the road with the blinker lights on, and they run 24 hours a day at idle. And we were able to reduce, you're more familiar with that. What was the reduction in regens?
Regens, they went from 36 times a year to 6 times a year.
So 36 times a year to 6 times a year. And in essence, if you think about what's happening, when we run those detergents through there, not only do we clean up the inside of the system, but we're also chemically altering that fuel so it burns more completely. So now we're sending out the exhaust and creating power from things that we're building up before. So it really does make a lot of sense. So we'll move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say thanks, Steve, for the comment there. Now, we answered a bunch of questions already, but we do have a couple here that came in through this past week on our online chat. So we got 4 or 5 of them here. We'll run through real quick. First one, what would be the best product for me? I have a tapping noise shifting problem. 01 Chevy Tahoe with a 5.3 automatic. Chris? A tapping noise and shifting problems.
In the transmission tapping. The safe bet, would be to use transmission Stiction Eliminator, but the FR3 would probably work better. Now, see, this is one of those corporate problem things. We haven't fully tested the FR3 in transmissions to know that's 100% safe. We have tested it, and it is safe. We just haven't put enough published data together to recommend it for that. If it was my 2001 Chevy Tahoe, because I think I've got a 2001 Chevy Suburban out there, and I had to have the transmission rebuilt. So if it was me, I would probably put some FR3 in there. Actually, yeah, I might even run Stiction Eliminator in there first. But
now he's getting crazy.
Yeah, but FR3 would be the best most likely to solve the problem, but TSE is the safest, most likely to do it. It will go in there and lubricate and get rid of any oxidation that's in there. I mean, you're talking 17 years old,
Yeah.
17, 18 years old, and hopefully that's not the original transmission fluid.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, okay.
Next question, we got a 06 Ford Explorer 145,000 miles, V8, 4.6 liter, some performance upgrades. He wants to purchase our products, but he's not sure what to purchase. Just asking if we have any recommendations. So we got an older Ford, 145,000 miles, gas engine. Any recommendations?
12 years old, 145,000 miles. It has to have Stiction built up in it. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
pulled the heads off, you've got to see crap in there. So my first thing would be run the Stiction Eliminator through it for 3,000 miles. Do an oil change, put Stiction Eliminator, run it, get it cleaned out so it's back to the best performance that you can get to. I would also put in the Gasoline Extreme,
Yep.
our new gas additive. It's the best additive that we've been able to ever come up with. And then after that, I would treat it with the FR3 or buy one of our synthetic oils to put in there if you want to extend out your oil drains or you want more performance. Most of our engine oils are not inexpensive, but they're the best that you could possibly make any engine oil. They already have FR3 built into them. We do have semi-synthetics, full synthetic, and then the PAO base super synthetic, so to speak.
And 145, you should be able to get at least another 100,000 miles out of that.
I would say so.
Next question, regarding Stiction Eliminator. How much do I use on my tractor trailer, which holds 9 gallons of oil?
So if you're going to put, you have 9 gallons in there, and you want to use Stiction Eliminator first, you
So
would,
we're talking 36 quarts of oil.
correct. So on the Stiction Eliminator, you would go with a gallon to start, and then after that oil change, run it for the whole oil change, then you would put 64 ounces or a half a gallon of FR3 in the next oil change. And no,
Every third oil change.
You have a 64 ounces of FR3?
that's 5%.
You're right.
So
Oh.
So you're putting the FR3 in there to treat the oil. So if you're buying off-the-shelf oil, Mobil's, whatever, in essence, what you're doing is you're taking a commercial grade conventional oil and you're making it an upgrade by putting the FR3 in. You're adding 5% synthetic oil with nanocarbons that are going to make it not only operate better but become a really good oil. That's what I would do, or buy our oil, one or the other. So for initial treatment, okay, so
Yeah.
what product can I use in a 2017 Eco Diesel Ram besides the EDT and Diesel Extreme that I already use? Use FR3. I had an old acquaintance call me, a fellow that I used to work, a colleague of mine that I worked with 20 years ago for a long time. And he bought some FR3. I don't know where he bought it from, but he just called me out of the blue. I hadn't talked to him in 5 years. And he says, I cannot believe that this stuff works this well. He said, I bought some of your FR3, I put it in my Eco Diesel, and he said, my mileage went up 2 miles per gallon. It's running like never before. He goes, I cannot believe it. And he goes, I am, of course he was very enthusiastic
Yeah,
about it. He goes,
I'm sure.
I watch my fuel economy like crazy. Every time I drive this route, this is what I get. So try the FR3 and report back to us and let us know how it worked out.
And if you're in colder climates, obviously diesel winter anti-gel, keep you from getting gelled up.
Yeah, if you're in a cold climate, anything below 30, you need to put diesel winter anti-gel in there, just as a safety precaution. The cost of the product is less than the increase in fuel economy that you'll get, and you get the safety factor of your fuel won't gel. And we've tested it. A lot of fuels, it'll go down to minus 60 before it will gel up, so it's a really strong product. It does a really good job.
So today we were planning on talking about Stiction Eliminator. We've kind of touched a lot of the main points already, but is there anything, if you guys got any other additional questions about Stiction Eliminator, go ahead and post them. Otherwise, Chris, you got any other tidbits you want to throw out about Stiction Eliminator?
Stiction Eliminator? No, just that it's a really over-engineered product, and it is a professional grade product. There's not a vehicle out there that I would not use Stiction Eliminator in.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had a Harley Davidson, I would put Stiction Eliminator in at a small dose, and it's all listed on the label how much to put in. But carbon deposits happen everywhere, and just as you're thinking this through, Just remember, the more advanced the engine, the harder it is on the oil, the more stiction you're going to have built up. And that's what we're able to clean out every time, 100% of the stiction with one treatment. So it's a really good value. Industry news.
Yeah,
Is there any other questions, Kyle, before we move on to industry news?
Well, there's one comment just came in and said Wendell Miller says he's going to stay with Conklin.
Okay.
I didn't know what Conklin was. I looked it up. It's another oil.
Conklin oil? Oh yeah, Conklin's been around forever. There's a group of custom blenders that are out there, like Conklin, Schaefer, Primrose, Sempico. I mean, they make great products, so we're not, I don't have any problems with them. There's a lot of good companies out there. It's just really what are you after? I mean, some people want, the least expensive car they can get. Somebody wants a little bit of an upgrade. They want the LS or the LT model, and then other people want, the 3/4 ton. Well, that's, you got your conventional brands on the shelf. Those are made to be as inexpensive as they could possibly produce them and make money on it. Nothing wrong with that. They meet all the requirements. Then you have custom blenders, those people in between, like the Conklins, that make a really good product. And then you've got, what we're doing is a step above, and we're much smaller volume than that, but we're going after a very specific market. We try to make the best of the best or solve a problem. We have dozens of products that have been brought to us to make, like DPF fluids. It's like, we don't make it unless it could be the best of the best. And then we just cater to that audience. I mean, if you want the absolute best engine oil, that's what we do.
Wendell responded and said he has 15,000 miles on his oil change and it's still like new.
Oh, I believe that. I mean, I've seen some good Conklin products. Again, Schaefer, Sempico, they do a good job. And where they have their unique selling proposition is, they're able to blend not to the retail shelf. Retailers will tell you, look, I need to make this much money on this. So if you can't do it for that, we're not putting it on the shelf. Well, the folks like Conklin have said, we're not going to do that. We're just going to make a really good oil. That's fine. It's kind of what we're doing is just a step above. We go the next level and say, okay, if it's the best of the best. When I'm talking to chemists from our company, from other company suppliers, I literally say to them when we're vetting out a new process or a new product or a blend, is this the best it could possibly be made? Is there anything I can do that can be improved on? And if they say, well, if you use this, well, then let's reblend it and do it that way. Until they say, it doesn't matter how much money you give us, it cannot be made any better. It doesn't come out in the bottle. We literally have that conversation every time. Our DWAG, with our EDT, with the Diesel Extreme, that was the conversation we had. I literally said, if the U.S. military called me up and said, this was with 2 or 3 chemists on the phone, I said, if they called up and said, we need 10,000 bottles of this for Hummers in Iraq, is this what I would send them? It took us 4 conference calls before they finally said, there's nothing you can do to improve on this. This is the best this additive could ever be made. There's nothing you could put in it or take away that would make it any better. This is the best it could be. That's when we came out with Diesel Extreme. Not before then, but not until we knew it was the best of the best. This is what we do.
And 15,000 miles is a good interval. I mean, how long would you say we've had some of our truckers go on Blue Diamond?
Oh, I've got,
100,000 plus.
I've got a driver that goes 200,000 miles on the oil. Now he's got a Harvard filter on there, but he called me up. I got his oil analysis at 200,000 miles, and it looked good. And he called me up and said, do I need to change my oil? I'm like, Randy, you got 200,000 miles on it, man. Come buy another 5-gallon bucket. I got 6 kids to feed. Can you throw me a bone? I mean, you got 200,000 miles. You've got your money. So you go, all right, if you think I should change it, I will. But it was still looking. It was still on spec. I mean, it still looked good at that point. I mean, we can do it. I mean, we can make oil that could literally run for life if you wanted.
Richard Barrow asks, how does it compare to Royal Purple?
Royal Purple is using a Group 3 base oil, and they were bought out by 2 years ago. They were bought by one of the majors. I'm gonna have to look it up on the web later on because I was surprised. We see them at the STLE show, and they were lumped in with Quaker State and all those other companies. And I asked if they were using a PAO synthetic base oil, and they said no, we just use Group 3. So for those of you that don't know the differences between them, the 30-second version is, you got Group 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 base oils. Group 2, when they clean it up and make it a little bit cleaner, more like water looking, they call that a Group 3, which is now allowed to be called a synthetic. So they call that a synthetic oil. And that's what anything on the shelf is a Group 3. If you see full synthetic oil, that means it's a Group 3. We get a 100% man-made product. It's called a PAO, and it lasts, just to give you rough numbers, because I've done this before, but one of the tests that we do on oils is oxidation. A Group 1 will last 1,000 hours before it oxidizes, like in a hydraulic oil. A Group 2 will go about 2,000 to 2,500 hours. A Group 3 can make it 5,000 hours, which is twice as long as a Group 2, so that's good, right? And that's a synthetic. The Group 4 went 40,000 hours and it still hadn't oxidized. And at that point, the test was getting kind of obnoxious, so they just quit running it. So Group 4s could actually go 50,000 hours or longer. That just gives you some idea on the ratings on that.
Any other questions, Kyle?
Not right now.
All right, well, let's get ready to wrap this up. We'll touch base real quick. I came across this article when I probably should have been working, but I was reading articles because that's what I do. It was why truck buyers love diesels as opposed to gas. A couple of the main reasons that they listed in this article was your clean diesel technology, less emissions, more improvements in recent years, better fuel economy, things like that. Longevity, diesel engines typically last longer, and then more power, of course. So that was their main reasons. I'm curious if you guys still listen. List your comments below. You agree, disagree? Did they miss anything? And also, new year, we had the idea of asking folks out there, diesel resolutions. New year, everybody makes resolutions for their personal life. What about your diesel? You got any resolutions for your diesel?
Diesel peace of mind. We like it.
Yeah.
On that survey, I would have to say that diesel engines having longevity is really the #1 driver. Obviously, I don't know, but it seems like 1,000,000 miles on a diesel is not unheard of, but 1,000,000 miles on any gas engine is. It's
Absolutely, yeah.
not that it can't be done, but it's not done that often.
And think about value too. You can't find an older diesel even with high miles for cheap money. So they hold their value.
That's a good point. I mean, you can get a Ford 7.3 with 200,000 miles on it. They're still asking $8,000 for it. I'm thinking, holy smokes.
Yep.
So that and the power. I think that a lot of people that are hauling things want the power. I know that's when I'm pulling a camper, pulling a trailer, it's the diesel versus the gas is night and day.
Big difference, yeah. So let us know what you think about that. And last thing, reminder, web special. Spend $99 or more, get that free 8-ounce bottle of FR3. Subscribe. We got email newsletter. And last but not least, make sure you, if you haven't already, follow our Facebook page and get a bunch of cool updates.
Yep. And thank you, Missy Masuccio. Hopefully you're having a good time down there in Florida, and we'll be down there in a couple weeks ourselves.
Oh, product.
Just gonna give stuff away.
We'll give away some product today.
Okay.
We'll give out some Stiction Eliminator. So if you chimed in, left a comment, asked a question, we'll reach out to you and get your address and send you some product.
Send you a bottle of Stiction Eliminator.
That's right.
And then right back and tell us how it worked. Very good. Well, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Next week.
Don't have any big country out. Sad day.
Yeah.